The heat of Katharun's twin suns beat down relentlessly, baking the ochre sands into a brittle crust that crunched under Justin's worn boots. Dust, finer than any terrestrial talc, coated everything, finding its way into the seals of his enviro suit, onto his tongue, into the very marrow of his exhaustion. For months, his expedition, a privately funded gamble based on fragmented sensor readings and archaic stellar charts, had chased whispers across this desolate world, whispers of a civilization lost to time, a people who supposedly commanded forces beyond human comprehension before vanishing utterly. Most of his team had succumbed to the planet's harsh realities or the crushing weight of failure, returning to orbit with depleted resources and spirits. Only Justin remained, driven by a conviction that bordered on obsession, his small sand crawler. The digger, his sole companion against the vast indifference of Katharun. He checked the gravimetric scanner again, its display flickering erratically in the excessive heat. The anomaly persisted, a deep, dense mass buried far beneath the shifting dunes. Far too regular, too geometrically precise to be natural. It was the strongest signal yet, stronger than the faint traces that had led him on this wild goose chase across half a continent. Hope, a dangerous commodity on Katharun, surged weakly in his chest. He steered the digger towards the epicenter of the reading, its treads churning laboriously through the deep sand. Hours passed under the relentless glare of the binary suns, Helios Prime and Helios Minor, painting the landscape in stark contrasts of blinding light and deep shadow. The air outside the crawler shimmered, distorting the horizon into a watery mirage. Finally, the scanner shrieked, indicating proximity. Justin halted the digger. The silence that followed almost deafening after the constant rumble of the engine. He peered through the reinforced glass viewport. Nothing. Just endless sand, sculpted by winds that hadn't felt rain in centuries. But the scanner was insistent. The structure was directly below. He engaged the crawler's ground-penetrating sonic emitters, sending focused pulses into the earth. The return echo painted a breathtaking image on his console, a vast, complex structure hidden beneath meters of sand and rock, impossibly ancient, utterly alien, a tomb perhaps, or a subterranean city gateway. Excitement warred with trepidation. He was alone, hundreds of kilometers from his orbital drop point, facing the unknown. He activated the digger's industrial laser drill, its high-pitched whine cutting through the silence. The beam, intensely focused, sliced downwards, vaporizing sand and then biting into rock. It was slow, painstaking work, requiring constant monitoring of energy levels and heat dissipation. Dust plumes rose, instantly whipped away by the thin, hot wind. Days blurred into a cycle of drilling, resting, scanning, and maintaining the aging machinery. Loneliness gnawed at him, but the tantalizing proximity of discovery kept him anchored. He talked to the digger, narrating his progress, his hopes, his fears, just to hear a voice, even if it was only his own echoing in the cramped cabin. Then, the drill bit through, a sudden drop in resistance, a hollow echo returning through the shaft. Justin retracted the laser, his heart pounding. He deployed a remote camera drone, lowering it carefully into the darkness. The feed crackled to life on his screen, revealing nothingness at first. Then, as the drone's lights pierced the gloom, shapes emerged. Walls carved with intricate, non-humanoid figures and swirling geometric patterns unlike anything he had ever seen. The air analysis came back breathable, ancient but sterile, free of harmful microbes. It was a sealed environment. Donning his lighter exploration suit, leaving the bulky enviro suit behind, but taking an emergency respirator and sidearm, Justin descended. He used the digger's winch, rappelling down the freshly cut shaft into the abyssal dark. His boots touched a floor smooth as polished obsidian. He activated his helmet lamps, sweeping the beams across the chamber. It was vast, cyclopean in scale, the architecture hinting at builders far larger than humans, or possessed of technology that made scale irrelevant. Strange, inert crystalline structures lined the walls, emitting the faintest residual energy signature. In the center of the chamber stood a dais, and upon it, something resembling a sarcophagus, yet not. It was a translucent cocoon of solidified light, shimmering with an inner radiance. Inside, suspended in timeless stasis, was a figure, female, humanoid in basic form, but clearly alien, taller than him, with powerfully built limbs, skin like polished bronze, and features that were feline, regal, and undeniably fierce. A mane of thick, dark hair, like spun midnight, cascaded around her shoulders. Even in stillness, she radiated an aura of command, of primal authority. She wore ornate, yet functional-looking armor of a material he couldn't identify, inlaid with glowing blue circuitry. A queen, perhaps. A warrior, both. Justin approached cautiously, his breath catching in his throat. This was it, the proof, a remnant of the lost civilization. He raised his multi-scanner, aiming it at the stasis field. Its readings were off the charts, energies he couldn't comprehend holding decay at bay for potentially millennia. He noticed intricate interfaces carved into the dais, symbols that seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury. Hesitantly, driven by the insatiable curiosity of the archaeologist, he reached out, his gloved finger hovering over a large, central glyph that pulsed slightly brighter than the others. He shouldn't. It was reckless. But the discovery was too profound, the mystery too compelling. He touched it. The effect was instantaneous and violent. Energy surged through him, a jolt that threw him back against the chamber wall. Alarms blared in his helmet. The entire chamber hummed, awakening from its long slumber. Light flared from the crystals, illuminating the vast space, revealing intricate machinery integrated seamlessly into the walls. The dais pulsed brighter, the light cocoon around the figure dissolving like morning mist. The alien woman's eyes snapped open. They were large, luminous gold, slitted like a cat's, and they fixed on him with an intensity that pinned him where he stood. She rose slowly, gracefully, her height even more imposing now that she was standing. She stretched, bones popping softly, like a predator awakening. She showed no sign of grogginess, her movements fluid and deliberate. Her gaze swept the chamber, taking in the drill shaft, the intrusion, then locking back onto Justin. He fumbled for his translator device, a sophisticated AI designed for first contact scenarios, hoping it could decipher whatever language she might speak. Before he could activate it, she spoke. Her voice was a low, resonant purr, yet held the sharp edge of command. The words were alien, guttural, yet musical, but miraculously, impossibly, his standard-issue neural implant, designed only for known galactic languages, translated them instantly, feeding them directly into his mind. Kaylor, she breathed, her golden eyes widening, a complex mixture of shock, disbelief, and something akin to fierce joy washing over her features. You have returned. After all this time, you have returned to me. Justin froze, confusion warring with fear. Kaylor. He wasn't Kaylor. I don't understand. He stammered. The translation smoothed, despite his panic. My name is Justin Apollo, from Earth. The queen tilted her head, a faint frown creasing her brow. Earth, Kaylor, your jests were always strange. But this. She took a step towards him, her movements predatory and graceful. The long sleep has muddled your memory, my love. But you are here. The fail safes, the deep link protocols. They would only respond to you. Only your life signature could have initiated the awakening. He backed away instinctively. No, listen to me. I'm an archaeologist. I detected this place. I drilled down. I accidentally triggered the system. He held up his scanner, hoping the unfamiliar technology would prove his point. She ignored the device, her gaze fixed on his face, searching. The face is different, yes. Thinner, paler. But the essence, the spirit signature the vault recognized, it is yours, Kaylor, or a vessel chosen by your own returning soul. She reached the spot where he'd touched the dais. A panel slid open at her gesture, revealing a complex array of holographic displays and controls. Her claws, surprisingly delicate for their sharpness, danced across the interface. Lights flickered throughout the chamber, and a low thrumming intensified, resonating deep within the structure. The city sleeps no longer, my king, she declared, turning back to him, her expression softening slightly. Though the regal authority never wavered, Katharun awakens, and its queen welcomes her consort home. Justin's mind raced. This was insane. A case of mistaken identity on an interstellar scale. Neural implants sometimes glitched, but translating an unknown language perfectly. Systems responding only to him. He felt a growing dread. What had he stumbled into? He wasn't Kaylor, but this powerful, ancient queen, Oriana, as he would soon learn her name was, believed he was, and an entire dormant city, apparently, agreed with her. He looked around the newly illuminated chamber, seeing now the vast scale of the technology integrated into the very rock. He saw alcoves containing more stasis pods, countless others. This wasn't just a tomb. It was a sanctuary, a lifeboat. Oriana approached him again, her movements fluid, almost hypnotic. Do not be afraid, Kaylor. I know the passage was unexpected. We were forced into the deep slumber unprepared, betrayed. Her eyes hardened for a moment, a flash of ancient pain and fury. But that is past. We are awake now. Our people will awaken. We will rebuild. She stopped inches from him, close enough for him to feel the heat radiating from her, to smell a faint, exotic scent like ozone and spice. Tell me, my love, what do you remember of the time before? I remember nothing, Justin said, forcing firmness into his voice. Because I am not Kaylor, I am Justin. I arrived on this planet weeks ago. My ship is in orbit. Oriana studied him, her golden eyes searching his. There was doubt there now, a flicker of uncertainty behind the conviction. Your words say one thing. The vault says another. The city stirs because of your presence. The guardians. She gestured towards alcoves where larger, more menacing figures slumbered in similar cocoons. Their stasis fields remain locked, keyed only to my command, or yours. Test it. She gestured towards a nearby console set into the wall. Command the lights to dim. Use your authority. Justin hesitated. This was ridiculous. It wouldn't work, but he needed to prove it to her. He focused on the console, trying to project a sense of command he didn't feel. Console, he said, his voice tight. Dim ambient lighting by 50%. To his utter astonishment, the lights in the vast chamber immediately softened, plunging the corners into deeper shadow. Oriana watched him, a knowing, almost sad look in her eyes. You see, the city knows its master, even if the master has forgotten himself. He tried again, desperately. Increase lighting. The chamber brightened. Activate. Activate sanitation systems. Faint whirring sounds echoed from unseen vents. A subtle shift in the air current. He felt dizzy. How was this possible? Was it his neural implant interacting with the alien tech in some unforeseen way? Or was Oriana right? Could he somehow be connected to this Kaylor? I don't understand, he whispered, leaning against the cool wall. This shouldn't be happening. Oriana's expression softened further. She stepped closer, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. Her touch was warm. Surprisingly so. Her strength palpable even in the light contact. Perhaps the transition was more traumatic than the designers anticipated. A complete memory wipe, a fragmentation of the soul imprint. She sighed. It matters not for now. You are here. You are alive. Katharun lives again because of you. She paused, considering. We have much to do. Our people slumber. The city needs guidance. The world outside has changed. Her gaze became resolute. Whether you remember your past life or not, a choice lies before you. Just an Apollo of Earth or Kaylor reborn. Stand with me. Help me lead our people. Or... She didn't finish the sentence, but the implication hung heavy in the ancient air. There was likely no other way out of this subterranean city for him now. He looked into her fierce, intelligent eyes. He saw the burden of leadership, the weight of millennia, the desperate hope pinned on him, the wrong man. Yet, the technology responded to him. The city was awakening for him. Was it possible? Reincarnation wasn't a concept he'd ever entertained. But here, on an alien world, faced with technology bordering on magic, who was he to dismiss it? And what choice did he truly have? Remain a prisoner, denying the impossible, or embrace this bizarre reality and see where it led? He thought of the vast, empty desert above. Survival alone out there was impossible. Here was life, ancient and strange, but life nonetheless. And a queen who, despite her fierce demeanor, looked at him with an unnerving mix of authority and vulnerability. I am not Kaylor, he repeated firmly, meeting her gaze. I don't know how this is happening, but I cannot leave you to face this alone. If the city responds to me, perhaps I can help. Not as your lost king, but as an ally. Oriana searched his face for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, a slow smile spread across her feline features, a glimpse of the formidable ruler beneath. An ally, she mused. A strange title for the one who holds the keys to the kingdom. But perhaps, for now, it will suffice. Come, just an Apollo. Let us see to our awakening city, and perhaps, in time, you will remember. She turned, gesturing for him to follow her towards the main console. The heart of Katharun, leaving Justin trailing in her wake, his mind reeling. An archaeologist who had just unearthed far more than he had ever bargained for. He was no king, but he was inexplicably tied to the fate of this ancient, subterranean realm and its beast queen. The central control chamber, the vault of command as Oriana called it, was a marvel of bioluminescent technology and seamlessly integrated crystal interfaces. Holographic displays shimmered in the air, showing schematics of the vast city complex, energy flows, atmospheric conditions, and the status of thousands of stasis pods lining countless halls and chambers radiating outwards from the core. Oriana moved with practiced ease, her claws tapping and swiping across consoles, her commands spoken in her native tongue now, a complex language of clicks, purrs, and resonant tones. Yet, Justin understood it all perfectly through his implant. He watched, fascinated and unnerved, as sections of the city map lit up, indicating power restoration, atmospheric circulation, and preliminary system checks. The primary power core is stable, Oriana reported, more to herself than to him, though her gaze flickered towards him occasionally, gauging his reaction. Life support is functional across 70% of the residential sectors. The deep slumber was mostly successful. Minimal degradation. She paused, her expression tightening. Casualties. A schematic shifted, highlighting several hundred pods in red. Less than 1%, she murmured, relief warring with sadness. Acceptable losses, the protocols decreed. Still. She touched a blinking red icon. Council member Katharun, a friend. She closed her eyes for a brief moment, then straightened. The Queen firmly back in control. We awaken the command cadre first. The sentinels, the technicians, the lore keepers, then sector by sector, the populace. She turned to Justin. The sentinels are keyed to our joint command signature, Kaylor's and mine. They are the city's protectors, formidable warriors. Their awakening requires your active authorization as well. She gestured to a specific console, its surface glowing invitingly. Place your hand here. Will the city to release them? He hesitated again. Sentinels. Sounded ominous. But looking at Oriana's determined face, the sheer scale of the task ahead of her, he knew denial was pointless right now. He needed to understand what was happening, and participating seemed the only way. He placed his palm on the cool, smooth surface. He felt a slight tingling sensation, a query, like a silent question, asked directly to his nerves. He didn't know what to will, so he just focused on the idea of awakening, of release, of helping Oriana. The console chimed softly, and on the main schematic, several dozen larger icons, previously locked, shifted from red to amber, then green. Authorization accepted. Oriana confirmed, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. The Sentinel awakening sequence is initiated. They will be conscious within the hour. She studied him again. You adapt quickly. For someone who claims to have forgotten everything, I'm an archaeologist. Justin countered defensively. Adapting to unexpected discoveries is part of the job. This is just significantly more unexpected than usual. He pointed to the schematic. What happened here? Why the deep slumber? You mentioned betrayal. Oriana's face darkened. The memory clearly painful. We were once part of a larger confederation, spanning systems. Katharun was a jewel, a center of knowledge and power. But ambition festered among some clans, particularly the Varkesh Collective. They practiced forbidden bio-augmentation, sought dominance through brute force. Her claws clenched slightly. They engineered a plague, swift and deadly, targeting our specific physiology. Simultaneously, their fleet attacked, crippling our orbital defenses. We fought back. Kaylor led the counter-assault. He was magnificent. A flicker of pride and sorrow crossed her face. But the plague spread too fast. Our losses mounted. The deep slumber protocol, designed for catastrophic stellar events, became our only recourse. We sealed the city, activated the stasis fields, intending to sleep until the plague burned itself out and the Varkesh threat subsided, and the betrayal. Justin prompted gently. Someone within our own high command deactivated key defensive systems at a critical moment, Oriana said, her voice low and cold. Allowed the Varkesh strike force to penetrate deeper than they should have. Allowed the plague vectors easier access. She looked away. Kaylor was investigating the breach when he fell. Reports said he was overwhelmed by Varkesh berserkers during a scouting mission. Near the outer perimeter, her gaze snapped back to Justin, sharp and piercing. But now you return. Perhaps those reports were wrong. Perhaps you were captured, placed in some other form of stasis, your memory altered. Or perhaps, Justin interrupted, trying to keep his tone reasonable. Kaylor truly died, and I am just an anomaly. A human whose biometrics or neural patterns coincidentally mimic some aspect of his, triggering your systems. Oriana considered this, tapping a claw against her chin. Possible, though the vault's identification protocols are incredibly complex, keyed to quantum entanglement signatures, not mere biometrics. A coincidence of that magnitude. She shook her head. Highly improbable, more likely, your soul, your essence, found its way back, drawn to this place, inhabiting a new vessel. Our ancient texts speak of such possibilities, though none have witnessed it. Justin ran a hand through his hair, feeling overwhelmed. Soul transference, quantum entanglement. This was beyond anything his scientific background prepared him for. Look, Oriana, I appreciate the theory, but I have memories, a life, parents, schooling, hot expeditions, falling in love, losing people. These memories are mine, not Kaylor's, are they? Oriana challenged softly. Or are they constructs? Implants designed to give a reborn soul a foundation. The technology exists, even if forbidden by ancient pacts. He had no answer to that. The certainty of his own identity felt suddenly fragile under the weight of her conviction and the inexplicable events surrounding him. He needed proof, something definitive to show her he wasn't her lost king. The chamber door hissed open, and the first of the sentinels entered. They were massive, easily 2.5 meters tall, clad in the same dark, circuit-laced armor as Oriana, but bulkier, heavier. Their features were even more pronouncedly feline, with powerful jaws and glowing yellow eyes. They moved with a silent, disciplined tread, radiating controlled power. 3 of them entered, snapping to attention, their gaze fixed on Oriana, then shifting, with brief confusion, to Justin. One stepped forward, bowing deeply to Oriana. Queen Oriana, Sentinel Commander Vorlag reporting. Unit Alpha is awake and functional. We await your command. His voice was a deep baritone rumble. Well met, Commander Vorlag, Oriana replied, her regal bearing absolute. It has been a long sleep. Vorlag nodded curtly. Too long. My queen, the city feels dormant. What are your orders? His eyes flickered to Justin again, questioning. Our immediate task is the systematic awakening of Katharun, Oriana stated. But first, introductions are necessary. She gestured towards Justin. This is Kaylor. Vorlag and the other sentinels stared at Justin, their expressions shifting from confusion to disbelief. Vorlag took an involuntary step back. My queen, forgive me, but this is not King Kaylor. His form is changed, his memory lost to the trauma of transition, Oriana explained firmly, her voice leaving no room for argument. Though Justin could see the sentinel's skepticism, but the vault recognized him. The city responds to him. He retains the command signature. Justin felt acutely uncomfortable under the scrutiny of the giant warrior cats. I am Justin Apollo, he interjected, hoping to clarify. I am assisting Queen Oriana. Vorlag looked from Justin to Oriana, then back again. He seemed to wrestle with the conflicting information. Finally, he bowed stiffly towards Justin, a gesture clearly lacking the reverence he showed Oriana. If the Queen says it is so, and the city confirms, then we acknowledge your presence, Lord. Justin. The hesitation before the name was palpable. He is not a lord, Oriana corrected smoothly, though a hint of amusement touched her eyes. Not yet. He is my ally. Treat him with the respect due one who aided in our awakening. She turned back to Vorlag. Commander, secure this level. Establish communication links with the awakening technician cadres. I want full diagnostic reports on all primary systems within the cycle. At once, my queen. Vorlag acknowledged. He gave Justin one last, assessing look, then turned and efficiently dispatched his sentinels. Their heavy footsteps echoing as they moved out into the awakening corridors. They do not believe me. Justin observed quietly once they were alone. They are warriors, Justin, Oriana replied, turning back to the consoles. They trust what they see, what they know. Kaylor was formidable, a presence that filled any room. You are, she paused, choosing her words carefully. Different, quieter, less imposing physically. But the city chose you. They will come to accept it or understand it in time. Respect here is earned not just by title, but by action. Action, Justin repeated thoughtfully. He looked at the complex displays, the sleeping city waiting to be reborn, the formidable queen at his side, the giant cat warriors now patrolling the halls. He had a feeling he'd have ample opportunity to demonstrate action very soon. Whether he was Kaylor or not, he was entangled in the fate of Cathar Czar, and survival, let alone earning respect, would require more than just stumbling upon the right console. He needed to learn, to adapt, to prove his worth, not as a reincarnated king, but as himself. Over the following days, cycles of Katharun's twin sons measured dimly through sensor feeds. Justin became Oriana's shadow. He absorbed information at a frantic pace, aided by his implant's flawless translation and Oriana's surprisingly patient tutelage. He learned the layout of the vast subterranean city, its intricate systems powered by geothermal taps and strange zero-point energy modules. He met the newly awakened technicians, smaller, more lithe members of Oriana's race. Their skills focused on maintaining the city's complex machinery. He met the lore keepers, ancient individuals who held the history and cultural knowledge. Their initial reactions to him, a mixture of profound shock and cautious reverence. The populace began to awaken. Sector by sector, thousands of Oriana's people, the Cathari, emerged from stasis, disoriented, but quickly rallying under her leadership. They were a proud, resilient race, feline humanoids with varying fur patterns, tawny gold, striped silver, spotted shadow, and a strong communal bond forged through millennia of civilization and the recent trauma of near extinction. Justin, the strange, pale alien who inexplicably held the king's command codes, was a source of constant curiosity, speculation, and suspicion. He made a point of being present during the awakenings, offering assistance where he could, mainly by interfacing with systems that sometimes remained stubbornly unresponsive to anyone but him or Oriana. He used his archaeological training to help the lore keepers decipher corrupted data logs, piecing together fragmented records from before the deep slumber. He was polite, observant, and careful not to overstep, keenly aware of his anomalous position. He wasn't trying to be Kaylor, he was trying to be useful, to understand this place and his role in its revival. His relationship with Oriana deepened, evolving from queen and anomaly to something more complex. There was an undeniable chemistry between them, a spark generated by their shared purpose and the strange circumstances binding them. He admired her strength, her intelligence, her unwavering dedication to her people. She, in turn, seemed intrigued by his different perspective, his human logic, his quiet determination. The moments when she looked at him, searching for Kaylor, became less frequent, replaced by an assessment of him. Justin, yet, The ghost of Kaylor always lingered. The first real test came unexpectedly. Scanners, monitoring the surface world through concealed periscopes, detected movement. Not the random drift of sand lizards or the passage of Katharun's sparse megafauna. Organized movement. Vehicles, scavengers, descendants of off-worlders stranded generations ago. Or perhaps remnants of the Varkesh Collective's ground forces devolved into raiders over the centuries. They had detected the energy signatures of the awakening city. They're probing the perimeter. Vorlog reported grimly in the command vault. Holographic displays showing a dozen battered, heavily armed sand skimmers closing in on the concealed entrances Justin had originally discovered. Primitive technology, but numerous. They seemed to be searching for the shaft you created. He didn't add Lord Justin. The omission telling. Oriana looked at the display, her expression hardening. They cannot be allowed access. The city is still vulnerable. Our defenses are not yet fully online. Our people still recovering. She turned to Justin. The outer defense grid requires dual command authorization to activate fully. Kaylor designed it that way. A final safeguard against internal misuse. Justin met her gaze. Tell me what to do. Together, they stood before the defense console, following Oriana's instructions. Justin placed his hand alongside hers on the interface. He felt the familiar query, the system seeking confirmation from both command signatures. He focused, adding his intent to Oriana's. The console flared green. On the main display, powerful energy barriers shimmered into existence around the known entrances. Hidden emitters projecting force fields designed to deter or destroy intruders. Simultaneously, concealed sonic cannons rose from the sand, tracking the approaching vehicles. The scavengers, clearly not expecting resistance from a supposedly dead ruin, were caught by surprise. The lead skimmers slammed into the invisible energy barriers, crumpling like paper. The sonic cannons fired, emitting focused blasts of devastating low-frequency sound. Vehicles buckled, drivers clutching their heads before their machines exploded or skidded to a halt, disabled. Within minutes, the probing attack was broken, the survivors scattering back into the desert waste. A quiet sense of satisfaction filled the command vault. Vorlog gave Justin a look that held, for the first time, a grudging measure of respect. The king's foresight and your presence have served us well. Justin Apollo. Justin nodded, feeling a surge of adrenaline, but also relief. He had contributed. He had helped protect the city. It was a small victory, but it felt significant. He had acted, and his actions had mattered. Oriana watched him, a thoughtful expression on her face. You react well under pressure, she observed. Kaylor was the same, fearless in the face of battle. I was terrified, Justin admitted honestly, but I knew it had to be done. Honesty, another trait he possessed when not playing the fool. Oriana smiled faintly. Perhaps there is more of him in you than just a compatible energy signature. Justin shook his head, but didn't argue this time. Let her believe what she needed to believe. His focus was on the present, on the challenges facing Cathar Zar. The scavenger attack was likely just the beginning. The galaxy might have forgotten this world, but local threats remained, and the deeper mystery of Kaylor's death, the betrayal Oriana spoke of, still lay buried in the city's recovering data streams. As more Cathari awakened, societal structures began to reform. Elders convened councils. Engineers worked tirelessly to restore full functionality, and warriors, under Vorlog's command, established patrols within the city and monitored the surface. Justin found himself increasingly drawn into strategic discussions. His outsider's perspective, combined with his rapidly growing understanding of the city's capabilities, proved surprisingly valuable. He suggested using ancient atmospheric processors, long dormant, not just for air recycling, but for generating localized, temporary cloud cover to mask their energy signatures from orbital scans, a threat Oriana hadn't seriously considered. Assuming Katharun was still a galactic backwater, technicians confirmed it was feasible. He helped analyze the scavengers' salvaged equipment, identifying linguistic markers and technological quirks that suggested ties to a specific Varkesh subclan known for opportunistic piracy even before the plague. This fueled Oriana's determination to uncover the truth about the betrayal that had forced the deep slumber. If Varkesh remnants were still active on Katharun, the old war might not be truly over. Working closely with the lorekeepers, Justin spent hours sifting through fragmented data archives, searching for clues about the final days before the stasis. He found Kaylor's personal logs, heavily encrypted. Oriana granted him access, her expression tight. "Perhaps you can unlock what I could not." His encryption always adapted to his current mental state. To Justin's surprise, the encryption yielded not to complex algorithms, but to simple, intuitive pattern recognition that felt strangely familiar. He accessed the logs. They painted a picture of a brilliant strategist, a charismatic leader, but also a king burdened by doubt and suspicion in the face of betrayal. Kaylor wrote of communication blackouts, altered troop deployments, sabotage within the defense grid. He suspected someone high in his own council, but couldn't pinpoint who before the final Varkesh assault and the catastrophic spread of the plague. The last log entry was chilling. Kaylor was planning a covert mission to the outer perimeter, near a suspected Varkesh infiltration point. Disguised not as himself, but using salvaged Varkesh stealth tech, he intended to plant deep scan sensors to monitor enemy movements and potentially identify the traitor feeding them information. He mentioned taking only his most trusted personal guard, bypassing the official chain of command due to his suspicions. He never logged his return. The official record stated he was ambushed and killed leading a standard patrol, wearing his royal armor. The logs contradicted that directly. Justin felt a cold knot form in his stomach. Kaylor hadn't been reckless. He'd been investigating the betrayal directly, using stealth. The official story was a fabrication. He took the findings to Oriana, presenting the decrypted log entries carefully. She read them in silence, her face growing paler, her knuckles white where she gripped the edge of the console. "Disguised as Varkesh," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. The reports said his unit was attacked by Varkesh. They found remnants, armor matching the enemy's signature near where his signal was lost. Her eyes widened in horror as the implication struck her. They didn't find Varkesh armor. They found him, disguised, and our own forces believing him to be the enemy. The words died in her throat. The truth was uglier than simple betrayal. Kaylor hadn't just been betrayed by sabotage. He had likely been killed by friendly fire, mistaken for the enemy he was trying to expose. His death then covered up by the traitor to hide their own complicity and Kaylor's investigation. The official story of a heroic last stand was a lie designed to protect the guilty and preserve morale during the desperate final hours before the deep slumber. Oriana swayed, leaning heavily on the console. The grief, held back for millennia, threatened to overwhelm her. It wasn't just the loss of her mate, but the horrifying nature of it. The possibility that her own people, deceived by the traitor, had unknowingly struck the fatal blow. Justin instinctively reached out, steadying her. She didn't pull away. For a moment, she wasn't the queen, just someone facing a devastating truth. "Who?" she finally breathed. Straightening up, the grief momentarily pushed back by cold fury. Who covered this up? Who was the traitor? "The logs don't say," Justin admitted. He suspected someone on the council, but didn't name them before his last mission. The traitor likely used the chaos of the final assault and the deep slumber preparations to falsify the records and ensure their own survival in stasis. Then they are here, Oriana hissed, her golden eyes blazing. Among us, awakened, believing their crime buried forever. Her gaze swept across the holographic displays showing the reawakening city. We must find them. The discovery shifted the atmosphere in Katharun, while the general populace remained unaware of the grim details. Oriana, Justin, Vorlag, and a select few trusted advisors now operated with the knowledge that a traitor walked among them, someone who had potentially orchestrated the fall of their king and the near destruction of their civilization. Suspicion became a subtle undercurrent. Every interaction, every decision, was viewed through a new lens. Oriana tasked Vorlag with discreetly reviewing the service records and actions of all surviving council members and high-ranking officers from before the slumber. Justin continued his deep dive into the archives, searching for any discrepancy, any subtle clue Kaylor might have left, any communication intercept that was overlooked in the chaos. He felt a personal stake in it now, not just for Oriana's sake, but because the injustice resonated with him. Kaylor deserved the truth. Meanwhile, life in the awakening city presented its own challenges. Resources, while vast, were finite. Allocating power, distributing reclaimed supplies, establishing new societal norms after millennia of stasis. It required constant negotiation and leadership. Some factions, particularly those from clans who had historically held more autonomy, began quietly questioning Oriana's decisions, murmuring about the strange alien at her side, who held the king's authority but was clearly not the king. A grizzled elder named Kaylor, head of the Mountain Clan, known for their fierce independence and traditionalism, emerged as a subtle focal point for this dissent. He didn't openly challenge Oriana, but his pronouncements in council meetings often carried veiled criticisms, emphasizing adherence to ancient laws and bloodlines, subtly undermining Justin's presence and influence. He spoke of the need for proven leadership forged in their own ways, not reliant on technological quirks or the Queen's personal preferences. Oriana knew she had to address the growing unease. She also knew that Justin's position remained precarious as long as he was seen merely as an anomaly, a placeholder for Kaylor. He needed to establish his own legitimacy in the eyes of her people. There is talk, Justin, she said one cycle, as they stood overlooking the central plaza where Katharun were beginning to congregate, rebuilding a sense of community. Whispers in the halls, doubts about your right to stand beside me, to wield the city's power. I know, Justin replied quietly. I hear them too. Kaylor is careful, but his meaning is clear. Tradition dictates that leadership, especially consortship to the Queen, must be proven. Oriana continued, her gaze distant. Kaylor won his place not just by strategy, but by combat. He bested the champions of 3 rival clans in ritual duels. She turned to him, her expression serious. Kaylor's faction subtly pushes for such a test, a challenge. To prove your strength, your right. Justin felt a chill despite the ambient warmth. A duel, Oriana. I'm an archaeologist, not a warrior. I fired a sonic cannon from a console. That's hardly single combat against. Well, against someone like Vorlag, or Kaylor himself. Kaylor is old, but cunning. He would likely choose a champion, Oriana mused. And no one expects you to be Kaylor reincarnated in skill, but they need to see your courage, your willingness to stand for your place, for this city. Not just hide behind the technology that responds to you. It is symbolic, yes, but symbols hold great power here. He looked at the Katharun below. their feline features proud and resilient. They deserved leadership they could believe in. Relying on a technological fluke felt wrong, dishonest. If he was to stay here, to truly be Oriana's ally, perhaps even more, he couldn't do it as a ghost or an accident. If a challenge is issued, he said slowly, meeting Oriana's gaze, I will accept it. Oriana searched his eyes, perhaps surprised by his quick agreement. A faint smile touched her lips. Spoken like a leader, just an Apollo, not like Kaylor, like yourself. She placed a hand on his arm. You will not face it untrained. Vorlog owes you his respect now. He will teach you. The training was brutal. Vorlog, initially skeptical, quickly recognized Justin's determination and intelligence, if not his innate combat prowess. The Sentinel commander drilled him relentlessly in the Cathari fighting style, a blend of powerful strikes, agile evasions, and the use of traditional energy blades. Short, curved swords that hummed with contained power. Justin, relying on human endurance, analytical thinking, and sheer stubbornness, absorbed everything he could. He was clumsy at first, easily thrown by the stronger, faster Vorlag, but he learned quickly, analyzing attack patterns, anticipating movements, using leverage over brute force. He took countless bruises, pushed his body to its limits, but earned Vorlag's grudging admiration. You lack the killer instinct of a Cathari warrior, Vorlag commented one cycle, after disarming Justin for the 10th time. But you have resilience, and you think. That may be enough. As Justin trained, the search for the traitor continued. They hit dead end after dead end. The records were too clean. The chaos of the final days providing perfect cover. Suspicion fell briefly on several council members, including Kaylor, whose traditionalist stance could be interpreted as resentment towards Kaylor's more progressive reign. But no concrete evidence emerged. The traitor remained hidden, a phantom menace within the city's heart. The expected challenge finally came during a tense council meeting debating resource allocation to the outer sectors. Kaylor rose, his voice resonating with practiced gravitas. Queen Oriana, we rebuild Katharzar, but foundations must be strong. Our strength has always been in our traditions, our proven ways. Leadership cannot be merely inherited or stumbled upon. His gaze flickered towards Justin. While we respect the Queen's ally, questions linger. The ancient laws speak of proving one's worthiness to stand so close to the throne, to wield the city's power. I believe a demonstration is required, for unity, for clarity. A murmur went through the assembled council members. Oriana met Kaylor's gaze coolly. Are you issuing a formal challenge, Elder Kaylor, or merely voicing dissent? Kaylor inclined his head slightly. I speak for many who believe strength must be shown. I propose a ritual proving, not a fight to the death, but a contest of skill and resolve. According to the old ways, let Justin Apollo face a chosen champion. Let him demonstrate his commitment to Katharzar, not with words or borrowed authority, but with his own spirit. All eyes turned to Justin. He felt the weight of their expectations, their doubts. He remembered his promise to Oriana, Vorlog's grueling training. He stood tall, meeting Kaylor's gaze directly. I accept the challenge, he declared, his voice steady, echoing slightly in the council chamber. Name your champion. Name the time and place. A wave of surprise rippled through the council. Kaylor nodded slowly, a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. My champion will be Reth, captain of the Mountain Clan Guard, known for his strength and adherence to honor. The contest will be held in the arena of proving, 3 cycles from now, at the zenith of Helios Prime. Standard ritual combat rules will apply. Yield or disablement ends the contest. Agreed, Oriana confirmed, her voice firm. Let it be so. The next 3 cycles were intense. Justin trained with Vorlog almost nonstop, honing his reflexes, practicing counters against Reth's known fighting style, strong, direct attacks. Reth was younger, stronger, and a seasoned warrior. Justin's chances seemed slim, but he focused on strategy, endurance, and exploiting any opening. He wasn't fighting to kill, but to prove something more subtle, his resolve. His right to be there, earned through courage, not just accident. On the day of the duel, the arena of proving, a vast circular space deep within the city, was packed. Cathari from all awakening sectors had come to witness the spectacle. The air crackled with anticipation. Oriana sat on a high dais, her expression composed but her eyes betraying her anxiety. Kaylor and his faction sat opposite. Confident. Justin entered the arena, clad in lightweight training armor Vorlag had procured for him, and an energy blade humming softly in his hand. He felt small under the gaze of thousands of golden eyes. Across the sandy floor, Reth waited, a mountain of muscle and striped fur, radiating power and confidence. He gave Justin a curt nod of warrior's respect, which Justin returned. The signal was given. Reth charged, a guttural roar erupting from his throat, his energy blade a blur of motion. Justin sidestepped, just barely avoiding the powerful downward slash that cracked the arena floor. He parried a follow-up thrust, the impact jarring his arm. Reth was incredibly fast for his size, relentless in his assault. Justin focused on defense, evasion, conserving his energy. Letting Reth expend his initial fury, he analyzed the patterns, the slight hesitation before a lunge, the way Reth favored his left side. The crowd roared with every near miss, every clang of energy blades. Justin was clearly outmatched in strength and raw skill, but he was surviving, frustrating the champion with his agility and unexpected counters. He used the arena space, drawing Reth into longer chases, forcing him to work harder. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Justin was tiring, his muscles burning, but Reth was also breathing heavily, his initial arrogance replaced by grudging respect and growing frustration. Seeing an opening as Reth overextended on a wide swing, Justin ducked low, spun inside the larger warrior's guard, and drove the pommel of his energy blade into Reth's side, targeting a nerve cluster Vorlag had pointed out. Reth grunted in pain, staggering back, his blade wavering. Justin didn't press the attack with his weapon. Instead, he stepped back, lowering his blade slightly. "Yield, Reth," Justin said, his voice amplified by the arena acoustics. "You are formidable. There is no need for injury. This is about proving resolve, not dominance." Reth hesitated, surprised by the offer. He looked towards Kaylor, who gave a barely perceptible shake of his head. Pride warred with pain on Reth's face. He snarled, shaking off the effect of the blow, and lunged again, this time with less control, more desperation. Justin was ready, anticipating the reckless attack. He sidestepped again, used Reth's momentum against him, hooked a leg behind the champion's ankle, and threw his weight into a shoulder check. Reth, caught off balance, stumbled and fell heavily onto the sand, his energy blade skittering away. Before Reth could recover, Justin placed the tip of his own blade gently against the downed warrior's chest. "Do you yield?" Justin asked again, his voice calm but firm. Reth looked up at Justin, then at the energy blade, then finally met Justin's eyes. He saw no malice, only determination. He sighed, a puff of dusty air. "I yield," he grated out, the words costing him dearly. A stunned silence fell over the arena, followed by a rising wave of murmurs, then scattered applause that grew into a genuine roar. Justin deactivated his blade and offered Reth a hand up. The champion took it, rising slowly, and gave Justin a nod that clearly conveyed respect. Justin turned to face the dais where Oriana sat. She was smiling, relief and pride shining in her eyes. He had done it. He hadn't won through overwhelming force, but through strategy, endurance, and a crucial act of clemency that resonated with the Cathari sense of honor. Kaylor looked thunderous, but even his supporters seemed grudgingly impressed. Justin Apollo, the alien archaeologist, had faced their champion and proven his mettle. He had earned his place, not as Kaylor reborn, but as himself. In the aftermath of the duel, Justin's standing within Katharzar solidified, while Kaylor and his traditionalists remained wary. The majority of the Cathari now viewed him with respect, seeing not just the Queen's ally or a technological anomaly, but someone who had demonstrated courage and honor according to their own customs. He became more deeply involved in the city's governance, his voice carrying genuine weight in the council. The search for Kaylor's betrayer, however, remained stalled. Vorlag's discreet investigations yielded nothing concrete. The traitor was adept at hiding, their identity seemingly lost to time and deliberate obfuscation. Oriana grew increasingly frustrated, the unresolved injustice casting a shadow over the city's rebirth. She found herself relying more on Justin, not just for his command authority or strategic insights, but for his steady presence, his calm logic acting as an anchor against her own simmering grief and anger. Their bond deepened further. Late cycles often found them together in the command vault, or walking the slowly revitalizing garden terraces deep within the city, discussing plans, sharing observations, or simply enjoying a companionable silence under the soft glow of the bioluminescent flora. The ghost of Kaylor seemed to recede, replaced by the reality of the man standing beside her. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. One of the ancient lore keepers, Lyra, a frail but sharp-minded female Cathari whose stasis pod had suffered minor data corruption during the long sleep, approached them hesitantly. She had been undergoing memory restoration therapy, using archived neural patterns to slowly piece back fragmented recollections from before the deep slumber. "Queen Oriana, Lord Justin," she began, her voice thin but clear. "Fragments. They return, like pieces of a shattered mirror. I remember the chaos, the fear, the final orders before stasis." She paused, concentrating. "I was assisting Council Member Katharun in the Central Archives, securing the historical records. Katharun, Oriana's friend, whose stasis pod had failed. He seemed agitated, distracted. He received a coded message, heavily encrypted. He reacted, strangely, dismissed me curtly." "A coded message," Oriana prompted, leaning forward. "Do you remember anything about it?" Lyra closed her eyes, her brow furrowed. "Only a symbol, glimpsed on his datapad before he shielded it. A sigil I did not recognize then, but which matches markings found on salvaged Varkesh technology from the surface." Justin and Oriana exchanged a look. Katharun, her friend, the one whose pod had failed. Could it be? Katharun died in stasis. "Lyra," Oriana said gently. "His pod malfunctioned." "Did it?" Lyra countered, opening her eyes, a surprising intensity within them. Or was it programmed to fail? A final act to ensure silence. It was a chilling thought. Katharun had access, opportunity, and according to Lyra's fragmented memory, a possible link to the Varkesh. But how to prove it? His personal logs, like most, were sealed or wiped during the final stasis protocols. Justin thought back to Kaylor's logs, his investigation into sabotage. Kaylor had suspected someone on the council. Katharun fit, There might be a way, Justin mused. Kaylor mentioned planting deep scan sensors near the outer perimeter during his last mission. If those sensors survived, if they recorded anything before the deep slumber began, they might hold evidence. Communications intercepts, troop movements. Those sensors were never recovered, Vorlag stated, having joined the discussion. The area was deemed compromised after the king's fall, but the city's systems might still be able to access them remotely, if they're still functional, Justin argued. They were designed to be incredibly resilient. Working with the technicians, Justin focused on tracing the faint, residual energy signatures of Kaylor's deployed sensors. It took days, poring over ancient communication protocols and sensor network schematics. Finally, they got a lock. 3 sensors, miraculously, were still functional, running on minimal power, their data cores intact. Accessing them was another challenge, requiring Kaylor's specific command overrides, which, once again, responded only to Justin. The data streamed in, fragmented but usable. Sensor logs, communication intercepts from the final hours, and there it was, coded transmissions between Theron's personal communicator frequency and a confirmed Varkesh command channel. Instructions being passed, defensive grid coordinates shared, confirmation of Kaylor's disguised approach vector towards the perimeter. Theron hadn't just covered up Kaylor's death, he had actively orchestrated the ambush, feeding the king's movements to the Varkesh and simultaneously ensuring Cathari patrols would mistake their disguised king for the enemy infiltrators Theron himself had warned them about. It was a betrayal of staggering depth and cruelty. The final piece of data was the activation sequence for Theron's own stasis pod, time-stamped just before the city sealed. It included a delayed subroutine, tagged with Varkesh encryption, timed to trigger a cascading system's failure after 100 cycles of slumber, long enough for him to be presumed a casualty of the process, but ensuring his permanent silence. Oriana watched the evidence unfold on the main screen, her face an unreadable mask, but her claws dug into the console, drawing faint sparks, the betrayal by her friend, the calculated murder of her king, the deliberate sabotage leading to countless deaths. It was almost too much to bear. When the final piece of data confirmed the programmed failure of Theron's pod, a single tear traced a path through her bronze fur. He ensured his own silence, she whispered. Coward. She looked at Justin, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and renewed grief. Thank you, Justin, for uncovering the truth. For Kaylor, finding the truth brought a somber sense of closure, but also raised new questions. If Theron was the primary traitor, did he act alone? Were there other collaborators still hidden among them? The paranoia lingered, but the main culprit was identified. His motives likely a combination of personal ambition and perhaps coercion or ideological sympathy with the Varkesh. With the immediate mystery solved, attention turned back to the future of Cathar Zar and to Justin's unique situation. While he had earned respect, the fundamental question of his identity, or rather, his connection to Kaylor, remained unanswered in a way that satisfied the lore keepers and the more mystical elements of Cathari society. The city responding to him was undeniable. But why? Was he truly Kaylor reborn, despite his own memories, or something else? The lore keepers proposed a final, definitive test. Deep within the oldest part of the city lay the Vault of Echoes, a sentient repository of Cathari history and psychic resonance, predating even the deep slumber technology. It was said the vault could read the very essence of a soul, perceive its history, its intent, its connection to the past. It had never been activated since Kaylor's time. Activating it, interfacing with it, was considered dangerous, psychically taxing. but it held the potential to answer the question of Justin's identity definitively. "The vault does not lie," explained Elder Lyra. "It perceives resonance, echoes of past lives, psychic imprints. If Kaylor's essence resides within you, the vault will confirm it. If you are merely an anomaly, it will show that too. But interfacing requires openness, vulnerability. It will sift through your mind, your memories, the ones you claim, and perhaps others you do not know you possess." Justin looked at Oriana. He saw the question in her eyes too, the lingering hope mixed with the acceptance of who he was now. He needed this as much as they did, to know for sure, to silence the whispers, and perhaps his own nagging doubts. "I'll do it," he said. "When?" "The vault requires significant power," a technician interjected, "and the interface protocols are complex. It will take several cycles to prepare. During those cycles, a new, unexpected complication arrived. Long-range sensors detected a single, powerful ship decelerating into orbit around Katharun. Its energy signature and design were archaic, but undeniably Cathari, belonging to one of the distant colony branches established millennia ago, long thought lost or destroyed during the Varkesh Wars. They hailed the city, identifying themselves as the Talion remnant, descendants of Kaylor's own lineage, tracing their ancestry back through his estranged brother, their leader. A stern, imposing Cathari named Surath demanded entry, citing ancient protocols that gave blood relatives a claim to leadership should the primary line fail. He spoke of restoring the true Cathari Empire, of purging alien influences, his gaze sweeping dismissively over the image of Justin standing beside Oriana in the communication hologram. "We have tracked the faint energy signatures of the awakening for months," Surath declared, his voice smooth but edged with arrogance. "We arrived to reclaim our birthright. The throne of Katharzar belongs to the blood of Kaylor, not to outsiders." His challenge was unmistakable. Oriana handled the communication coolly, acknowledging their arrival, but making no promises. "Your claim will be considered by the Council, Lord Surath, according to established law. But Katharzar has a queen, and leadership is not merely a matter of blood, but of proven commitment." The timing was terrible. Just as Justin was about to undergo the trial in the Vault of Echoes, a rival claimant with a legitimate, if archaic, blood connection appeared. Kaylin and the traditionalists immediately saw Surath as a potential alternative, someone of pure Cathari blood, untainted by alien origins or questionable identities. The city, still fragile, faced the threat of internal division, even civil war. "He cannot be allowed to fracture our people," Oriana stated grimly after the communication ended. "Not now, but his claim, by ancient law, must be addressed." "Let me face the vault first," Justin urged. "Whatever it reveals, it will provide clarity. Then we deal with Surath." The Vault of Echoes was located in a chamber of living crystal, pulsating with soft internal light. The air hummed with latent power. In the center stood a single crystalline throne-like chair, intricate patterns flowing across its surface. Justin, guided by Lyra and the technicians, sat down hesitantly. Electrodes, seemingly grown from the crystal itself, gently attached to his temples. "Clear your mind, Justin Apollo," Lyra instructed softly. "Do not resist the vault. Allow it to perceive your essence. Seek truth, not deception." Justin closed his eyes, taking deep breaths. He felt a profound mental pressure, then a sense of falling, not physically, but psychically, into an ocean of light, sound, and memory. Images flooded his mind, his childhood on Earth, his archaeological studies, the thrill of discovery, the desolation of Katharun. Then, other images, alien yet hauntingly familiar, glimpses of towering cities under twin suns, faces of Cathari he'd never met, the roar of battle, the sting of betrayal, the cold of stasis. Were these Kaylor's memories, bleeding through, or the vault's projections? He felt a presence, ancient and vast, examining him, sifting through his thoughts, his emotions, his core identity. It wasn't hostile, merely inquisitive, analytical. It compared his psychic signature against a template stored deep within its crystalline matrix, the signature of Kaylor. He felt the comparison, the points of divergence, the startling points of overlap. It wasn't a match, not reincarnation, but something else, resonance. Like two tuning forks vibrating at sympathetic frequencies across time and space. The vault communicated not in words, but in pure understanding, flooding his mind with the realization. He wasn't Kaylor reborn, he was just an Apollo, but his spirit, his core essence, possessed a fundamental resonance with Kaylor's, a shared dedication to discovery, a protective instinct, a capacity for leadership under duress, even a similar pattern of intuitive logic that allowed him to interface with Kaylor's encrypted systems. He was, in a way the ancient Cathari might have termed Zol kin, not by blood or rebirth, but by resonant frequency. The vault had recognized this resonance, interpreting it as the closest match to Kaylor's signature, thus triggering the awakening protocols keyed to the king. He wasn't Kaylor, but he was chosen, not by destiny, but by compatibility, to carry the potential Kaylor represented. The vault showed him Kaylor's final moments again, not the fabricated battle, but the stealth mission, the shock of betrayal, the realization of who had set the trap, the despair not of death, but of failure to protect his people. And then, a final pulse of will, a desperate hope cast into the quantum foam, seeking someone, anyone, who could carry the torch. Had that hope somehow resonated with Justin, drawing him across the stars to this place? The vault offered no definitive answer, only the confirmation of the resonance. Then came the trials, not physical, but mental, ethical. The vault presented scenarios, drawn from Cathari history and Kaylor's own life. How would he respond to betrayal, to scarcity, to the temptation of power? He answered not by trying to mimic what he thought Kaylor would do, but by relying on his own judgment, his own ethics, his human perspective tempered by his experiences in Cathar Zar. He chose diplomacy over aggression where possible, innovation over rigid tradition, compassion over cold calculation. He failed some tests according to ancient Cathari warrior codes, perhaps, but passed others based on integrity and a broader vision for the future. Finally, the pressure receded. He felt the vault withdraw, leaving behind a sense of profound clarity and exhaustion. He opened his eyes. Oriana, Lyra, and Vorlag were watching him intently. "Well," Oriana breathed, her voice tight with anticipation. "I am not Kaylor," Justin said, his voice hoarse but steady. "The vault confirms it. I am just an Apollo." He saw a flicker of disappointment in Oriana's eyes, quickly masked, but also relief. "But," he continued, "it also confirmed why the city responds to me. It calls it resonance, a compatibility of spirit, of potential. I am not Kaylor reborn, but someone who resonates with his purpose, his signature." Lyra nodded slowly, her ancient eyes thoughtful. Resonance. Soul kin. The oldest texts speak of it as a possibility, a profound connection across lives, rarer than reincarnation itself. The vault has recognized you not as the past returned, but as the future chosen. Chosen or not, Vorlog rumbled, ever practical. Surath awaits. His claim is by blood. How do we answer that? Now that we know you are not Kaylor. We answer it with truth, Oriana declared, her regal authority returning, strengthened by the confirmation. Justin's connection, however unique, is recognized by the vault itself, the deepest heart of our history. Surath's claim is based on archaic laws from a time before the deep slumber, before the betrayals that cost us everything. We need proven leadership, resonant leadership, not just lineage. She looked at Justin. But Surath will demand a trial, likely combat. He seeks to usurp power through force and outdated claims. Then I'll face him, Justin said, feeling a surprising certainty. He had faced Reth to prove his resolve. He would face Surath to defend the future he was starting to believe in. Here, beside Oriana. Not as Kaylor, not even as the resonant one, but as Justin Apollo, ally to the queen, protector of Katharzar. The confrontation with Surath was inevitable. He dismissed the vault's findings as convenient mysticism and alien manipulation, demanding his blood right be honored or proven false in the traditional way, a leadership duel in the arena of proving. To refuse would lend credence to his claims and risk dividing the Kathari, Oriana. After consulting the newly formed council, which now included Justin, his position solidified by the vault's confirmation and his duel with Reth, agreed. The atmosphere was far more tense than during the duel with Reth. This wasn't just about proving resolve, it was a direct contest for leadership, with the potential for Surath to usurp Oriana's authority if he won. Surath was younger than Kaylin, but older than Reth, a seasoned warrior from a harsh colonial environment, driven by ambition and a firm belief in his inherent right to rule. He represented the allure of the past, of pureblood lineage, a dangerous siren song for a people still finding their footing after millennia. Justin trained again with Vorlag, but differently this time. He wasn't just defending, he needed to win. Decisively, to leave no doubt. He focused on integrating his human ingenuity with Kathari techniques, using his lighter frame for speed and agility, his analytical mind for strategy, and the energy blade skills Vorlag had hammered into him. The duel began much like the one with Reth, Surath pressing the attack with ferocious skill, his energy blade weaving complex patterns. But Surath was more cunning than Reth, less reliant on brute force, setting traps, trying to corner Justin. Justin, however, was more confident now, more experienced. He moved fluidly, parrying, dodging, using the arena to his advantage. He remembered the vault's trials, the emphasis on outthinking opponents, not just overpowering them. He feinted, drew Surath into a predictable lunge, then used a technique Vorlag had taught him involving reversing the energy flow in his blade for a split second, creating a magnetic pulse. The pulse disrupted Surath's blade control just enough for Justin to slip past his guard and score a glancing blow on his shoulder armor. Drawing the first energy scorch, Surath roared in anger, abandoning caution, pressing his attack relentlessly. Justin weathered the storm, his defense solid, his focus absolute. He saw his chance when Surath, frustrated, attempted a powerful but slightly unbalanced spinning attack. Justin didn't try to block it head-on. Instead, he dropped low, sweeping Surath's legs out from under him, while simultaneously bringing his energy blade up in a disabling arc, stopping just short of Surath's throat as the claimant crashed to the sand. Silence. Then, the arena erupted. Justin stood over Surath, blade steady. Yield. Surath, Justin commanded, his voice ringing with authority. Your claim by blood is acknowledged by history, but leadership is earned by merit, by dedication to Katharzar's future, not its past. Surath, defeated and humiliated, glared up at him, then spat on the sand. Alien witchery, he snarled, but the fight was gone from his eyes. I yield. Justin deactivated his blade and stepped back. Vorlag and his sentinels moved in to escort the disgruntled claimant away. Justin turned to the dais. Oriana stood, her expression radiating pride and relief. The crowd chanted, not Kaylor, but Justin. Keep her a new title, born from his actions. He had defended the city, uncovered the truth, faced the trials, and defeated the challenger. He had secured his place, and Oriana's, through his own strength and spirit. In the cycles that followed, Katharzar truly began to heal and rebuild. Surath, stripped of his pretensions, but spared further punishment by Oriana's decree, chose to integrate his small contingent of followers into the city, adding their skills and knowledge to the collective. Kaylor, humbled, offered his clan's formal allegiance to Oriana and Justin. Acknowledging the strength of their shared leadership, the council solidified, representing all major factions, working together to guide the city's resurgence. The outer defenses were strengthened. Trade contacts were cautiously established with a few independent orbital stations who were stunned to find Katharzar alive, and the city itself flourished. Ancient technologies blending with new ideas Justin brought. He wasn't a king trying to reclaim a lost era. He was a partner, helping Oriana build something new, honoring the past but not bound by it. He introduced concepts of broader representation, sustainable resource management, and open information sharing that were alien to the old Cathari ways, but proved effective. He never fully lost his identity as Justin Apollo, the archaeologist from Earth. He documented everything, sending encrypted data bursts to his long overdue expedition recall point, hoping someone would eventually piece together his story. But Katharzar, with its subterranean gardens, humming crystal tech, and proud feline people, became his home. One quiet evening, under the simulated starlight of the central dome, Oriana stood beside him on a high balcony overlooking the now vibrant city. The low thrum of Katharzar was a comforting sound, a testament to their shared efforts. You seem content, Justin Keeper, Oriana murmured, her golden eyes reflecting the soft light. He looked at her, no longer just seeing the fierce queen or the echo of Kaylor, but Oriana herself, intelligent, strong, passionate. Her initial grief now tempered by hope and a growing affection that mirrored his own. He was no longer just her ally or a resonant anomaly. They were partners, equals, building a future together. Content doesn't quite cover it, he admitted, a genuine smile spreading across his face. He reached out, taking her hand, feeling the familiar warmth and strength. Her claws remained sheathed. When I first fell into that chamber, I thought my life was over, or had taken a terrifyingly wrong turn. He looked out at the city, alive and thriving below them. I never expected this. Never expected you. Oriana leaned slightly against him, a gesture of trust and intimacy that spoke volumes. And are you happy? Just an Apollo of Earth, here, so far from your world, bound to a resurrected city and its ancient beast queen. He met her gaze, his reflection clear in her luminous eyes. There was no doubt, no hesitation, no lingering ghost of Kaylor between them, only the truth of the present, hard-earned and precious. Oriana, he said softly, his voice filled with certainty, I'm home.